Hello and welcome to the ICDL Module 2 Computer Essentials online video. My name is Andy McCall and I'm going to be taking you through the slides in this presentation. Just point out that these slides are available to you on Aula and the W Drive too. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through some of the slides. I'm going to be pointing out the key areas in particular to be aware of in preparation for your test. So after this video you can go back, download the slides, or if you've done it beforehand, and go into a bit more detail. All the contents there available to you too. So ICT Concepts, something that may crop up in your test is defining what ICT means. ICT is Information Communication Technologies, and from the image that's on the slide you'll see there's a vast amount of devices, storage devices for example, that are built in within the ICT world that we live and breathe every single day. So for instance, for example, MP3 players, emails, it's printers, interactive whiteboards, several devices that we use on a frequent basis revolves around ICT. So if you're in your test and it may ask you a question, which sort of device would you see as being an ICT? Some examples on here, very relevant if you were to get that in your test. Adding towards that though, hardware, just be careful in your test. You may be asked to look at an input look at an input and an output, or both devices that do both sorts of things. Your test question may have something that may point out which of these is an output device, which one's an input. So we know from input it would be anything that we're moving and it produces something that goes into your computer, and also the opposite works as well with output. So it could be a printer, speakers, anything that we're producing that's coming out of your ICT device. But you've also got both as well. Modem, there's upload and download. A camera may have a printer connected to the back of it. Headset, we've got a microphone as well as speakers, and touchscreen as well. So you've got a few examples there going into your test. So what is considered a peripheral device? A peripheral device is something that you attach to your computer, be it a mouse, keyboard, a wireless keyboard, scanner, printer, and it also gives additional tools and mechanisms for your machine. Obviously, the most popular peripheral device, though, in terms of connectivity, is USB. So that might come up in your test as well. What is the most common way a peripheral device will connect to a computer? But it's not just USB. There is also the other method of peripheral connectivity, which is Bluetooth. And you can see, so if you were asking your test if for example I want to connect my laptop to my mobile phone without using a wired connector, what would be the most likely option? So you would look at it from the Bluetooth technology in connecting a peripheral. Data storage. Data can be stored in many different types of technology. So we've got an external hard drive, a USB, a DVD, CD, and also recently we've got the cloud storage as well. So you can upload a file and you can log in wherever you are, where there's an internet connection, and access your files there to you. So what does the term software describe? It's a piece of software on a computer is a program which has a set of instructions that tells your computer what it wants to do, how to do it, and it allows it to perform a task when it's been set to run. We as the users will control the program, manipulate it, and make it do several instructions to the computer. Looking at this example, these are some operating systems, just the popularity. You can see that Windows 10 has really taken a far more larger volume of users around the market of computers. But don't forget, we do have a lot of Apple Mac users, so any individuals that have got a Mac will be obviously using OS. Same with iPhones, you've got iOS. But Windows 7 just here, Windows 7 is not being supported anymore, so it's diminishing. But what we're going to be going through in this video and what we're demonstrating is Windows 10, because Windows 7 in terms of its support by Microsoft is now finished, which I believe it finished in January. So in terms of being aware of what is most popular there too. Just a few ones to keep an eye on here. If you're asked on your test about software licenses, we've got proprietary, which is you must pay for the software license. So for example, if anyone pays for Microsoft Office, you've got that. With the university pays for a license for every student and every staff member too. Shareware and trial work similar. So shareware lets you try out the program for a limited time with limited functionality, and you've also got the freeware which you can use freely, and open source, which is the code of the software, and it's available to you so you can manipulate and change. Quite a straightforward one here, just to go over. So you on Microsoft Windows 10, which is what we're going to be covering, and it's going to be asked in your test. You've got the taskbar right at the bottom, so you've got the start button, you've got your search box just here. You'll see in my example, it's just the magnifying glass just there, but you may find it's the longer Ask Me Anything choice. You've got your notification area just down here, see any of your notifications that pop up, and we've got the taskbar just here where any application or any shortcuts. So if we opened up Microsoft Microsoft Word, it would be placed just here. So our tasks that are running, and we have the desktop just in the middle. We can put files and put shortcuts, and have the recycle bin available to us as well. Just keep in mind that in your test you may be asked to declare what an icon is. So you'll see icon is either a shortcut or it's just a normal file that will open an executable file to go. For instance, if it was a Word file, you would double click it and it would open. So that's declaring what an icon is. Logging on off a computer. So really important to be aware, because in your test you will highly likely be asked to point out where would I go to shut down or sign out of my computer. First point is always start button just there. You may also be asked to lock your computer too. So there's two ways you can do that, and dependent what your question may ask you. So you go, you'll see your account and you can click the lock button, but also it may ask you to do the keyboard combination, which is holding your Windows key and pressing L on the keyboard. That will also lock your computer, and it's a recommendation for anyone on the call, whenever you're using any computer, not just on campus but any even the public environment, or even if you're leaving your desk for just making a quick cup of tea or anything, make sure you lock your computer. So the next slides, up to slides 31, goes through several key areas of using Microsoft Windows, and also goes through using a word processing application too. So what I'm going to do, instead of going through each slide, I'm going to demonstrate some of the key areas of each slide. So once you see this video, you'll have a bit more of a knowledge and understanding, particularly going into your test. But also you can refer back to the slides as well, just for the instructions for additional support and revision too. So the first thing I want to show you that may pop up in your test is where you would go in the Windows environment to see the task view. Task view is located just here, this icon just here, the task view. It's two square boxes and a line just there. If you were to click that, you'll have the option to see your tasks that are open at the moment, and you'll also have the ability to create a new desktop as well. So that's an example of, if you have a load of icons in your desktop but you need more space, you can create a brand new one, and you'll have another area where you can add shortcuts and you can drag and drop that you need to use. You'll notice just here we've got 3 active tasks going. So we've got the File Explorer, we've got WordPad, and we've got the Screencast-O-Matic, which I'm using for these recordings. So if we were to click one of them, let's click WordPad for example. There we go, we can get into it just like that. So the next area we're going to look at is the File Explorer. The File Explorer is where you would go to look at any files or folders that are stored on your local hard drive on your computer. Also any device that's attached to it, for example a network drive, it could be a USB stick, even a DVD or a CD that's inserted in the computer. Once you've attached it to the machine, you should be able to go into your File Explorer and see what's inside it. First thing you need to know is how to open File Explorer. Really straightforward. You sometimes may see an icon down here, a yellow folder. That will get you into the File Explorer. But you can also go to Search and type in File Explorer, and it'll open this up on the screen. Another thing that may come in your test, however, is closing File Explorer. So if you were to press Alt and F4, it will close it down. You also have the Xbox just at the top, which is the close option. So I'm just going to bring the other File Explorer I've got up onto the screen. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm just going to go through some key areas that you may get in your test, just to be aware that if it asks you a certain area, you know where it is. So this is File Explorer. The File Explorer has a ribbon right at the top. So we've got the File option, we've got Home, Share, and View. Share, ignore share, it doesn't really come up in your syllabus, but view and home will. File as well will not really come up either. Home and view are particular. So home gives you the options to cut, copy and paste. You will also still have your right click shortcut menu too in your test, so if it asks anything there. On the left hand side of File Explorer, we've got what's called the navigation pane. So this is access to all the devices that are attached to your computer, and particularly some folders that are particularly important. So you'll notice we've got this PC, which I'm using. We've got these folders just here. We also have OSC. That's the C drive. So that identifies the computer's inside hard drive. We also have some network drives just here, identified by the icon, and a network too. If you've got your Windows File Explorer a bit more smaller on the screen, let's remove File Explorer, you'll see you've got the scroll bar here. That does highly likely come up in your test, so just be aware that you're clicking it in the right location too. You've also got the status bar just down here. So the status bar for this folder is stating that there are 9 items. These here are folders, and these are icons as well. So they could either be a file, it could be an image, it could be a Word document. Just keep in mind in your test you may be asked to identify a folder or a file as well. So just keep in mind file as a folder too. And this is the viewing pane that you'd use. And if you've got to search for something, you've got the search option just on the left hand side. So if I want to search for M3 Word, it finds stuff that is similar in words there too. So that may come up in your test as well. And another thing that may be asked in your test is to point out where the address bar is. The address bar is just up here, just here. So if you're familiar with browsing the internet, you've got an address bar. Same thing happens with File Explorer, but the address bar shows the folder previous to where you've got to just here. So this is the A126com folder in the student shared W drive that you all should have access to. So if we were to click this PC away from where we were a second ago, just there, this PC, what it'll do is it'll give you most common folders on your machine, download pictures, desktop, music, videos and documents. You'll see you've got your device just here, which is your C drive inserted into your computer where the operating system's installed. And then we've got our network locations just there. You would also probably see a DVD disc icon just here that would identify the DVD that's been inserted or the drive that's available, and you'll also see a E drive that will identify a network removable storage device too. So if I was to show you, for example, I'm just going to insert a USB removable just to show you when it pops up onto the screen. And you'll see just there. Now it's called D because there isn't a DVD drive, which is normally called the D drive. So if it was a D drive, it would highly likely to be called E, F or G. So remember, just keep in mind in your test, if you do see it's asking you to identify the DVD drive or the removable storage device, just keep in mind you've got these icons just here that show. Now, with the DVD drive, it is should have this, but should also have a disc above it stating DVD too. So just keep aware. Good thing in File Explorer, if we make it a bit more bigger, is if we go to View, we can change the look of icons. So if you go to your View option just here, what we can do is we can make it medium. We can change it to details. We can get extra large icons. We also do it to tiles too. Details is particularly good, which we're going to concentrate on, because what details does is it allows you to keep it by columns. So it goes by the size of the device, or it can also go by the size of the folder, of the file. You've also got free space, total size, but you can also add columns too. So in your test, if it's asking you to where you go to add such and such column, you could click here, and we could do comment or choose anything else. If you want to sort a column, it's quite straightforward. So you've got all these headings here. You can just left click one of them and it will sort them for us by ascending or descending. So in your test, if it is asking to sort something, you've got that just there. But remember, to get this viewpoint, it must be detailed. So in your test, if it's asking you to where you would go to alter the view of File Explorer so that you can see the details, straight away into the View tab and then Details just there. Coming out of File Explorer, we can also go to our desktop and we can also arrange icons. So just for this example, if I was to right click in an empty space in the desktop, just here right click, you'll see we've got in the shortcut menu, we've got sort. So if I was to click sort by name, you'll see we can sort it by name, or if I wanted to sort it by item type, for example, you'll see that it will arrange the icons, it's a couple of shortcuts and the folder and the recycle bin into position dependent on what we've decided we want it to be done there. So I'm also going to show you an example of moving files and folders through the File Explorer, but also it could be on the desktop or any location in your computer. That is what the term I'm meaning is selecting, cut and copy. So what we've got here, I've just using these folders and these files, just an example. These are in your A126 folders just here. So if I want to select a range of folders, we can drag, hold our left mouse button down and select all. But if you're in your test, you may not have that facility. It may ask you if what specific key you would use to do that. What you would do is you'd select the first folder and you'd hold your shift key just down and you select the last folder or file, and that will allow you to do it. Or if you wanted specific files or folders, you'd hold the control key down and then you can choose which ones you want. So shift is for all, control is to select. What we can do is we can use the cut, copy and paste features. So cut will take an item where its location is and we can paste it by moving it somewhere else. Remember, in your test you may see a word that says move. Keep in mind that move means cut. If you see duplicate, that means copy. So if you see just here, if I quickly create an example, just a quick text file just here as example, and then what we can do is I can select and I can go to home and I can cut. Remember, cut is move, and then if I was to go into your M2 Computer Essentials, and then I can paste it just there. So let's this time use the shortcut menu, which you may have available to you. You can either use cut or copy. This time I'm going to do copy. So copy is duplicate, copy, and then we can go back, and then we can either use the shortcut menu or using the ribbon. We can press paste. And there we go. We've used the copy feature just there. What you have as well in may come in your test is your shortcut keys as well. So you can also use Control X to cut, Control C to copy, and then Control V to paste as well. We can also create new folders. So if we were to go to our ribbon, just the Home tab just up here, we can click New Folder. And then once we create the new folder, we're given the option immediately to create insert the name of the folder. Or if you were to see in your test, if it asks you the question where you would go to create a new folder, you may not have this available to you, but you can also do it by right click, new, and doing a new folder that way as well. So you've got two options, either through the ribbon or by the shortcut menu by right clicking and give it there. So it'll prompt you to give it a name once you've done that as well. Next, what I'm going to show you is I'm just going to grab our text box. I'm just going to put it onto the desktop just to show you. So what we've got is we've got the recycle bin. So if we were to delete a file or a folder, we can either select it and press delete here, or we can right click and we can delete, as long as we're renaming if we needed to. So if you ask that in the test, you can click delete. Because I was on the student shared W drive, I just want to go a bit local and put the example into the desktop just to show you an example. So if we were to press right click and delete, where it goes is it goes to recycle bin. Recycle bin is when you delete any files or folders that are not instantly removed from the computer. There's a place in the recycle bin, so it gives you that option. Let's say if you were deleting something by accident, it gives you a bit of a failsafe to go in and restore the item. So if you notice, I've just opened up recycle bin just here, and you'll see there it is. The layout is quite similar to the File Explorer. We've got all our tabs just up here, but the Home tab works a bit different, and you've also got the Manage Recycle Bin tools here too. So we could empty the recycle bin, and that would, if there was a set of files or folders that were in here, it would immediately delete them from the computer. But if we wanted to restore, what we can do is we can restore the selected item, or if it was a set of them, restore all the items, or we can empty the recycle bin. So if you see this in your test, it will ask you, for example, to restore the selected items. You would have restore selected items, but careful, if it says only restore the selected items, it would be that one. That would restore all the items. So I'm just going to restore the selected item, and there you go, removed from the recycle bin, and then we put it back onto the desktop just as it is here. So the next part we're going to talk about is compressing and extracting files. So a file or a folder will have a certain size depending on what its content is. So a hard drive will have a certain amount. So if we look at it from like the point of view of a bookcase, this file here, if we were to say that, for example, it's got a couple of kilobytes of size, and if I created another text file as well, actually we'll create a Word document just here, and we'll just call it Word example. What we've got here is we've got two files, but what we can do is we can compress them both into a compressed folder, which is called a zip folder. This process is actually called zipping. So what we can do is we can select both the files, and if we were to right click in either of them because it's been selected, you'll see that there's the option Send To, and then we can go to compressed zip folder. If you see this, if it asks you in the test, if we want to zip the selected files, it's compressed zip folder in your shortcut menu just here. That will highly likely come up in your test. So if we click compressed zip folder, you'll see we've now got a zipped folder. It's called example for the first one. We can rename it our example zipped files just there. Let me just delete these two here because they're now been copied and they're in a zip file. Because it's been zipped, it means that those files are in a folder, but they've been compressed so that the file size is smaller than what it originally was. To extract, or we say unzip as it's called, we right click the folder, and you'll see not going to Send To, you'll see Extract All. Extract All is only available for any folders that are zipped. So we click Extract All, it'll ask us the destination, so we're just going to put it on our desktop. We're going to click Extract, and you'll see it's the same folder. So this window is just opened up just here. You'll see those two files that were here are in a folder, but they've been extracted. So you can edit them freely and go as what you please just that way. So it's a good example of extracting. So extracting is Send To, compressing is Send To, and then extracting will unzip the folder for you. So keep an eye on that in your test. Finally, in relation to files and folders on a computer, we also would need to know, particularly in our test, and maybe asking what properties are related to a file. So in the example zipped files that we've just unzipped from here, if we were to double click in here, if you were to right click the word example folder, a file, or any file on a desktop or any storage device that there is, right click, you'll see we've got our shortcut menu here with several options. If you go down to the bottom, you've got properties, and this the file will bring up this window once you hit the properties, and you'll see that it's got the file icon, which is Word for us here. We've got the name of the file, we've got the application that it will always open with on your computer, we've got the type of file, so you'll see the type of file is .x. You've got the location of where it's placed on the storage device, so this for example is on the hard drive. We've got the file size, we've also got the file attributes as well, so if you can only read it, if you didn't want anyone to edit it, you can have that ticked there, and you've got some advanced things. So just keep in mind, if it does ask you in test where you would go to find the properties of a file, it's always right click and properties just there. So that's just concluded the files and folders part just here. Next part, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the applications WordPad and Microsoft Word, just in a basic form, just to show you how you can open them and use them in particular when you're using the test. So we're not going to be delving into the ins and outs of it, but how to open it, how to save a file, how to navigate it around as well. So first one I'm going to show you is Microsoft WordPad. So Microsoft WordPad is a application that actually is free when you purchase or you install Microsoft Windows onto any of your computers. So to open up WordPad, you would click search and you can go WordPad just there. You should also maybe find it in your start if you go to your icon, so your shortcuts, you should be able to find it here. I think I've taken mine off, but you will highly likely find it available to you if you have a scout around. It should be there too. So I'm going to click WordPad, and it's pretty much a basic word processing application, but just to show you a few things, you've got the ribbon just up here, we've got the file which gives us our file save and save as and print, we've got our cursor just here, got a ruler, we've got our ribbon of options in home, which is quite basic, what we're going to be showing in a second, and we also have our zoom just down here, as well as the status bar. So we just start typing away. So I just want to make you aware that if you see in your test some of the key things of WordPad, just to be pointed out, that you've got your file home, you've got your tabs, your ribbons as well, and an insertion pointer in particular may come up. But what will highly likely, and it is also in your diagnostics, show up is using the word processing application Word. So Microsoft Word is one of the modules you're going to be doing after Computer Essentials, but it does come up in this module, but it doesn't come up in terms of full details, it comes up in how to use it. So Microsoft Word is pretty much WordPad, but much more detailed. There are far more options and it's much more professional in its ability to manipulate and change documents. So I'm going to just not save this, I'm going to close these two windows just down here, and you should have it installed on your computer. If you haven't, if you contact IT services, they'll be able to see if they can get it installed, because you're obviously a university student, so give them a shout. So we're going to open up Microsoft Word. Now type in Word, you'll see you've got WordPad and Microsoft Word. So if you left click Microsoft Word, and you'll first of all see it'll give you the option to create a specific document. We're just going to use blank document. So in your test it may ask you where you would go to open up a blank document. You would just click blank. And here we are. This is the Microsoft Word application. Has its ribbon. It has loads of sets of features which I'm not going to go into because it's not relevant for this module. But what we are going to be doing though is going to the File tab just here. So we go to File, and you'll see we've now got the option to open. So we could open a document. So if I go to Browse, it's always important in your test to go to Browse. Please ignore the shortcuts, the last ones just here, because we want to show the test you're doing it correctly. So we're going to click Browse, and then we're going to go to Desktop, and I'm going to go to Example ZIP files. I'm going to open. Make sure you select it and you press the Open button. It's always important that whatever's selected is open. And in your test, it may ask you where you would go to open it, but you also have to do the steps correctly. So press open, and there we go. This is just normal text that I've just put in here just for the example, just what we're going to do. What we can also do, because we want to save it as a brand new document, is we can close that down. I'm going to open up Word again, and then Word. I'm going to do a blank document. I'm going to just type in some basic text. This is my first document. You'll see you've got the title just up here. Keep in mind that when you create a blank document, it's always called document 1. Or if you've got several open, document 2, 3, 4. We're going to save this to desktop. So I'm going to go File, Save As, Browse. I'm going to save it into my desktop. I'm going to change the name just here. In your test, however, and this also applies to open, what we just demonstrated before, it is very important in your test to be aware that you'll have a virtual server location that's wanting to do. A lot of people I've seen in my past experience are doing the correct steps to save a document, open a document, but they're not saving it in the correct location. So you may, in your test, you will find that you'll have a folder that's called the Z drive just underneath here. You won't have it in this demonstration. It's only when you do your test and your diagnostic that you'll see. So make sure that you do save it in the Z drive. It's really important, because if you do all the steps and don't save it in the Z drive, you will lose marks. So really important to remember in the Z drive. So I'm just going to do it in the desktop, and I'm going to make sure I'm naming it. So the first document we're going to call, and I'm going to save it, and you'll see the name changes just up there as well. Another really important point to be aware of in Word is if your test asks you to close a document. A lot of people, and particularly myself when I first experienced it, if we see the words in your test or in a diagnostic test, close the document, open in Microsoft Word, a lot of people will think clicking the red X at the top will close the document. It doesn't close the document. It doesn't close the document. It closes the application. The correct place to close a document is File, Close. The application still stays active, but your document has been closed. So just keep in mind in your test, if it asks you to close a document, it's always File, and then you've got your Close option just there. If you asked you to close the application, you could by all means press your red X, and then you're available to do that too. So typing text, you may be asking your test to insert a specific text that's been asked for you to do. Make sure your spelling's correctly. I'm just going to put hello there. This is M2 Computer Essentials. You'll notice I was going quite quick there. In your test, just take your time because you don't want to lose marks by getting spelling incorrect. What I'm going to show you now is how to copy and paste text from one document to another, because that may come up in your test, and it's really important to get that aware. What we've got is we've just got one document that's open. If I was to just go down here, you'll see we've got the first document. In your test, it will be highly likely that there will be two documents open. So I'm just going to go to open up another one. So if you see down here, I've opened up the Word example document. If I hover my mouse over, we've got two that are open. The first document and the Word example. You may be asking your test or in a diagnostic question to copy, which is duplicate, the text, hello there is Computer Essentials, to the Word example document and place it at the bottom. So the first thing we need to know is we need to select the text correctly. So we're going to get to the beginning, hold your left mouse button down, get to the end, make sure you don't select anything that it's not asking to in the test, and you can do copy just up here, or we can right click, copy, we can go to our other document, and then right at the bottom, just click here, and then I can paste using the ribbon, or I can paste just there. You can also use the shortcuts that I explained earlier in the video about copy and pasting using your key shortcuts like Control X, Control C and Control V. So you've got that there. Let's try it vice versa. So instead of copying, I'm going to cut, which means move. I'm going to take this DFSD text, which is spelled incorrectly, but it is for this example. I'm going to select it. I'm going to right click. I'm going to cut, which means move. And you'll see it's been taken off the page. And I'm going to go to here and I'm just going to paste it just over there too. So that's how you do all the features on Microsoft Word. So that's the end of this first video. If you go to the second part of the video, that is me continuing with the Computer Essentials syllabus and everything you need to know going towards preparing for your test.